Hi, I'm Tessa Lighty. I'm a social media and content strategist for OneUpWeb. I run all of our social media, and this week we are going to be talking about an introduction to social media, just kind of going over the basics and what you need to know to really get started promoting your business on social platforms. So one thing to remember about social media is that it is truly a community effort. It is something that you need your community to be engaged with, and you need to be engaged with them in order to make it a symbiotic partnership and not like they're just filling your cup and you're not filling theirs. So keep that in mind. There's no hard and fast answer. Social media changes so rapidly. I mean, there might be something tomorrow, a day after this video is released, that changes, strategy. Be flexible, always be looking at the data, always be ready to change, always be ready to adapt new trends. We're going to go over some tips and tricks for social media. We get asked a lot, what platforms should I be on? Well, the answer to that question really is just, it depends. Facebook is the biggest platform worldwide, but it tends to be older generation of users. It's very easy to use, great for businesses to get on. Lots of people expect businesses to be on Facebook, so I will say that most businesses should be on Facebook in some capacity. But again, these platforms are not just a breakdown of where you could be, but depends on where you want to put your resources. So Facebook definitely a great option for many, many businesses. For LinkedIn, it's great for B2B, so business to business. It is growing in popularity and has some of the most effective advertising, which we will get into a little bit later. We'll actually get into channel-specific tips for all of these platforms so that you are ready no matter which one you decide to get started with. On Twitter, it can be very time-consuming. It is great for entertainment or the news industry where people are looking for facts or quick information or a lot of content to be thrown their way. But if you're sending tweets out into the void every day, 10 times a day, that might not be right for your social media efforts. It doesn't bring in a lot of leads, and it isn't really building a community if you're just sending them out and no one's responding to them. So don't put a ton of effort into Twitter if you're not seeing any return on it. Actually, that's a good rule of thumb for any of these social media networks. If you're not seeing very much return, it's okay to step back and reevaluate while you figure out where you want to go next. Another major platform is Pinterest, which is actually a search engine. It's incredibly visual and it's great for content marketing efforts. So, if we have a how-to blog, that would be great to put on Pinterest because people are always searching for how-to content. We do a lot of work with home service franchise brands, and their content does really well on Pinterest because users are searching for how to paint a room, or whatever that might be. And then they're being taken from the social media network, Pinterest, to that blog for how to paint a room. So it is really effective if that is your niche. Some more platforms to go over. Very popular is Instagram. Again, highly visual platform. It's emphasis on images and videos. It is not available to have links. So while Pinterest, you could click from an image to a blog, on Instagram, you're actually not able to click anywhere except for what is known as a link in bio. And we'll talk about that later. And then Instagram does trend younger as well. So Facebook was on that older spectrum. Instagram is on that younger spectrum. So does Snapchat. We don't typically recommend Snapchat for businesses simply because it's kind of declining in use. A lot of other platforms have taken over its functionality, and specifically TikTok has kind of taken over Snapchat's appeal. So TikTok is really great. Lots of businesses love it. It's great for brand awareness. It's great for fun videos. It's great for entertainment. It's great for short form videos, hashtag challenges. There's lots of things that people love about TikTok. Businesses are hesitant to jump in there, of course, because there's not, really a direct ROI, but there's a younger audience to be reached on TikTok. And if you do it properly, and if you, put the right amount of effort in where it needs to be put in, you can really see some returns on TikTok as far as brand awareness. YouTube is another search engine. It's kind of one of those social media / search engines, kind of sit in the weird balance in the middle there. But it's a very important tool for you to be using, and you should be hosting all of your videos on YouTube, even if you're hosting them somewhere else too. So again, finding the right balance as far as what platforms you should be on, it really depends on your time. Think about how much time you have to dedicate to things. Think about where your audience is. And from there, you're going to be able to narrow down which platforms you should be on. For example, we are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. We have a Pinterest, but we don't use it that often. Even though it was proving good ROI, it was more difficult to manage than sending people to our blogs was worth. But, we don't have a TikTok, we don't have a Snapchat, we have a YouTube, of course, for all of our videos, but it really just depends on what your capabilities are, what you're available to do, and then you'll be able to narrow down those social media networks. So once you've decided what social media networks you want to be on, it's time to actually go in and optimize your pages. Now, you don't necessarily think of a social media profile as something you need to optimize, but you really do. You really need to make sure that, your profile picture has the same branding as your cover photo, as the language that you're using in your posts. You want to make sure everything's cohesive, that your tag is at OneUpWeb, not at OneUpWeb Marketing, or whatever it might be. You want to make sure that you have good branding and good tags across all of your social media profiles so that people can find you. If one of your social media handles isn't available on another platform, I suggest you actually make them all uniform, even if it means that they are all a little bit longer. For example, if OneUpWeb wasn't available on Twitter, we would make it OneUpWeb Marketing and then carry that over to all of our other social channels. That makes it cohesive and really easy for a user to find your business no matter where they're searching for you. You can see some really good optimized pages like this on our bank Twitter account. They have a great description, a link to their bank. They have great tweets going out regularly. They have well-branded images, a very easy to remember tag. If we look at this Fashion Nova Instagram account, we can see how they have all of their stories filled out. They have tags and hashtags in their bio. They have a link. They have a story going all at the same time. Shorts Brewing Company's Facebook page, again, they have their logo as their profile image. They have Facebook Messenger set up to pop up and prompt people with questions before anyone has had a chance to poke around, which is a really great tool we recommend you using. They've got pictures, they've got good followers, they've all good positive signals for your social media profile. Another tip for making your social media marketing efforts easier is to just plan out your content. I promise you, it seems like it takes so much work, but it is so worth it to have a plan of what you're going to post. You can do it in something as simple as an Excel sheet. We use Condario, which is a content calendar platform we've created that houses all of our blogs, videos, social posts, everything. You can learn more about it at oneupweb.com/Condario. That's just what we use because that's the tool we have at our disposal. Before Condario was built, we were using an Excel sheet that just had, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all of the platforms, what we wanted to post and what the dates were. I would include things like a campaign or, maybe include a boost budget for some of those Facebook posts. Just try and make sure that your Excel sheet, whatever you're working off of, has a complete plan. You can try and plan for a month in advance. That's what I typically like to shoot for, but if that doesn't seem achievable, try for 2 weeks at a time. Something that's really, really helpful is to actually set your goals for yourself. So I know, I want to share out 2 posts to Twitter this week that have nothing to do with OneUpWeb, because there's that balance of finding content and promoting your own business, right? So set goals for yourself. Don't make it all promotional. Create a routine, but plan for spontaneity. So if you have those 2 weeks of posts planned out, it's going to feel really good. And then when somebody says, hey, I have this picture I took, I think it would look really great on our social, it's going to make it so much easier for you to say yes to that, knowing that you have a solid strategy and plan in place underneath what you have going on the side. So wherever you're doing it, if it's a piece of paper, if it's an Excel sheet, if it's Condario, whatever it is, make sure that you have a plan for your social media marketing. It's going to make things go so much smoother, I promise. Another thing we don't really talk about is using data in social media marketing. A lot of social media marketing metrics are what we consider vanity metrics. These are things like, oh, it got 76 likes, or, oh, 2 comments. But what does that really mean in terms of your business? You don't really know. And so there's a couple of things you can do with social media marketing insights. I would suggest looking at what the platforms give you. So you can see here, this is a snippet of what LinkedIn shows you as far as engagement on your posts. And then you can get a general idea of what posts do people like to look at more. Obviously, a career post did really well. This is a blog of ours that gets a ton of traction, that got a lot of impressions, but not necessarily any click-through or anything like that. So what was the deal there? Were there no hashtags? You can look at that and figure out what your next step is. This is something that I recommend really doing like once a month, kind of going in here and taking a deep dive and a really hard look at what the data is telling you about your followers, about your users, and about the content you're putting out on social media. Instagram has their insights where you can see, what the impressions were or account activity, how many people are visiting your profile. You can see when your users are most active and try to plan your posts around that. That's a really valuable tool that you can use on any one of these platforms, is knowing when your users are most active and simply posting your social media posts at those times. And you might see a huge increase in activity in people engaging with your posts, simply because they're more relevant when they're posted as new and everyone's online to look at them. As far as paid media on social goes, we're not going to get into it too much today, but I will say that if you're looking to get into paid media with your social media marketing and you've never touched paid media before, boosting a Facebook post or an Instagram post is a really great way to go. It's a very great way to get your toes wet, to spend some money, see where it might take you, and it will boost your metrics for sure. Facebook will send that post out and you will see an improvement in who's seeing your post, definitely. The one thing about Boost to keep in mind is that there's sort of a cap on it. There's like this bubble. What it does is it magnifies your post out to the network. And the next time you do it, it magnifies it out to that same network. And after you do this so many times, that network is still just going to stop at that bubble. And that's when it might be time to launch a true paid media campaign through social, which gives you a lot of targeting options and you can expand your reach to beyond your network. We will have a topic in the future on Learn with OneUp Web for paid media and paid media as far as social media marketing goes. All right, so now the next thing that we're going to get working on is channel specifics. So before we walked through sort of what those channels were at a very brief overview, and now we're going to get into more specifics about what those channels look like and what you can do to make the most of them. So there actually isn't Facebook for Business anymore. Some of you might have gotten used to seeing that. There is Creator Studio, which does allow you to create, your own posts through Facebook and Instagram. Some specific tips for making the most of your Facebook profile are, posting regularly. That's part of where that content calendar is going to come into play. You know that you have one Facebook post scheduled a week, and no matter what, it's ready to go. It also does really well with visuals and video content. You want to make sure that every link you're sharing has a video or a visual to go with it, so that way people are more likely to click on it. And there's a lot of new features on Facebook that you can try. So there's stories like there is on Instagram, but it's very easy to get going. You can even cross-post right from your Instagram to your Facebook. If you haven't gone live on Facebook yet, there is no harm in trying it out. Seriously, it feels like a really big deal, but it's not. We have tips for going live, like, create a script beforehand and test, of course, that you're not going to have any blunders while you record your live video. But going live is a great way to engage your audience on Facebook, and live videos do really well. If you're hosting an event, we recommend putting that event on Facebook as well to try and promote that event even further. Whether that's a virtual event or a live event, it's important to make sure that the word is out there and that it's associated with your business. And then we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but you can create a group on Facebook. So if you're a home service brand that, does painting services, you might create a group to encourage your customers to join that, interact with you, interact with each other. They can ask questions, they can get information. And again, that's part of building that community. And then we touched on this briefly when we talked about the well-optimized profile, but you should take a look at messenger marketing. Facebook's Messenger is a great tool that you can either embed on your website to get chats through your website, or just enabling it with some simple prompts right from your Facebook page to pop up like that Shorts did, is a great way to get more leads and get people talking to your page. All right, so some specific tips for getting started on Instagram. The user demographic is pretty evenly split amongst men and women, and it's typically a younger crowd, though that is changing. Older people are joining Instagram as they move from Facebook or in addition to Facebook. The best way to convert Instagram users is with a link in your bio. So we talked before about how Instagram actually doesn't have links in the text. They just show up as text, and so users can't click from a comment to a website. So the only thing you can do is put a link in your bio to your website, and your bio is obviously the bio page of your social media profile. And so then what you can do is in those captions, you can reference, check out more information on our Instagram bio, check out more information at the link in our bio, whatever that keyword is that you're telling them to go to your bio and follow the link for more information on a relevant topic. We ran an experiment not too long ago where we had that link in bio host all of our Instagram posts. So no matter when somebody came to that link, they could click through to the relevant post and find the relevant blog. We found that was a really great way to drive blog traffic. So it's something to consider as well. We really think you should be using Instagram stories. They're a really great way to connect with your audience. Even if you pre-make some of them, again, we're always trying to plan out our content here. You can pre-make some Instagram stories or Instagram highlights to get up on your profile, but we recommend using them because they're really important to Instagram and they're a great way to build your community with your followers. One kind of interesting way to use the close friends group on Instagram is to share tips or content with just a specific group of people. So let's say, for example, you host a giveaway and one of the prizes is being included in a close friends group on your Instagram page. And those close friends get access to specific tips or tricks or discount codes, whatever it might be. But you now have an opportunity to create another group, a smaller community within your page, and share exclusive content with them. Again, giving people a reason to want to come back to your business. And the other two features of Instagram are IGTV and Reels. So they're kind of opposites, but they both have to do with video. IGTV is long form video, think more like YouTube, and Reels is short form video, more like TikTok. Both are valuable, and I would just suggest playing around with them, giving them a shot to see what works best for your business. But if you're just getting started on Instagram, don't overwhelm yourself. Focus on posts, stories, and highlights first, and then see what adding video into the mix looks like. So we talked before about LinkedIn a little bit. I'll say it again. It's really great for business to business. People are on there looking for jobs, businesses, and brands, which also makes it really great for engagement. On those other social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram, people are very much in a personal mindset. When they're on LinkedIn, they're in a professional mindset. They're looking to hear from brands. They're looking to hear from businesses. It actually can be 277% more effective at generating leads than Facebook. I mean, that is huge. Part of that is, again, because of the targeting, and the advertising targeting on LinkedIn is amazing. Over to the right, this quote, the top publishers on LinkedIn see 120% growth to a business page year over year. So some things you can try. There's this content suggestions tab on your business page. You just go up there and you can filter by topic or whatever else. It can be hit or miss, but using those content suggestions has been shown to get more engagement from your audience. Long form content that spark discussions do particularly well. So if you have an opinion, I would suggest sharing that opinion on your personal page and then encouraging your company or friends to share that opinion as well. That makes it perfect for engagement from your network as well as other networks. And LinkedIn does really well with that long form content. If you're looking to get started on Twitter, you already know that it takes a lot of effort to do well. It's very time consuming. Twitter is great for if you're at events and you're using a hashtag. It's great for customer service. People know they can get at your business quickly from Twitter, but keep in mind, they do expect to hear very quickly, like 30 minutes or less. If you have a brand Twitter account and they have an issue and they tweet at you, they want an immediate response. But it can be great for starting a conversation. You can try interacting with other brands in your industry. You can have conversations about trending topics. There's actually something you can do called a chat where you just continue to quote tweets as you go along. And that means that you can ask questions with your followers and host sort of a discussion via Twitter. Pinterest is a great search engine and the platform has great branding. People use it specifically to shop. They are on there for a purpose. You can easily put the pin it button on your website and optimize your boards for SEO. That means having specific keyword targets based on relevant queries and, how-to projects or home DIY or whatever it is that you're trying to get people's eyes on. Another search engine / social media platform is YouTube, of course. Did you know that 90%, almost 100% of people 18 to 44 use YouTube? That is insane. There are so many people on YouTube. And if you're not creating video content for your business, you should be. And if you're not hosting that video content on YouTube, you should be. You can use a free tool like vidIQ for YouTube SEO. We really recommend optimizing your profile like all of the others with good thumbnails, descriptions, all about that YouTube SEO. And we recommend hooking the user in the first 5 seconds of your video. Make sure they want to stick around to watch the rest of that video. And prioritize consistency. Again, having a plan in place for when you're going to publish these posts is the most important key to success across all these platforms. TikTok is one of those newer apps that, for a while brands were kind of hesitant to be on and then they sort of adopted. But we recommend if you have the time and you're interested in getting on TikTok, it can be really great for brand awareness. It can be really fun to play around on. I recommend always having a hashtag strategy. Take a look at those challenges that you see floating around on TikTok. Those are great for brand awareness. It's great for generating user-generated content using micro-influencers. Try creating your own challenge to see if you can get people to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich the same way as you or something. I don't know. They're ridiculous challenges. All right, some trends that we're going to watch for now as we move through. Again, these are across all social media platforms. Organic reach is really down across all social media platforms. This makes it harder to have connections with your audience on social media and to get your content seen. The best way to create this is to create content for your audience, things that they already want to see. If you don't know what they want to see, ask a poll, ask a question. Do whatever you can to continue to keep your engagement rates up, and that's really just the best way to fight it. Of course, pay to play, of course, exists, and you can pay to get your content seen more across social media, but that doesn't change the fact that your organic reach is still going to suffer. Users are way more concerned about privacy and transparency, and these are actually two different topics, really. So we put them together because they kind of go hand in hand, but users are concerned about their own privacy. They know that businesses and brands are out there kind of trying to figure out what they can about them. And they are more hesitant to release their emails. They're more hesitant to, follow a page or like a page simply because they're cautious of those privacy concerns. So that's something to watch out for. And then on the flip side, younger users are concerned with transparency. When brands make a mistake, they want brands to own up to making that mistake. They do not want it slid under the rug. Especially younger users make a point to notice when brands are authentic or not, and they will shop from brands that they feel espouse the same values as them or own up to their mistakes. Influencers are very popular on social media right now. We just say to tread very carefully. It can definitely blow up in your face if you play too big, but we recommend really understanding your market, understanding your users, finding a micro influencer, someone who has a fraction of the followers as one of those major influencers, is again going to come off more authentic, more real to your business than just hiring Kim Kardashian or whoever to market your product for you. That doesn't feel like your business. And users are able to tell. They're getting able to tell. They're getting smart about influencers. So just be careful, be cautious. A big theme this whole time, we've talked about building a community, having groups. Facebook has groups, LinkedIn has groups. We shared a way for you to create a small group on Instagram. There's lots of ways to build a community with your audience. And then for user-generated content, it's a great way to get new content from your users, from people already following your page. You can hold a contest or just ask people to tag their photos with a specific hashtag to use on your page. It's all about promoting that you want that, and you'll definitely see return. Always ask if you find a picture out there in the wild that you're not sure about. Make sure you ask before using it on your own page. You want to make sure that you're doing it properly. But that's sort of an overview of social media marketing. We covered the different platforms, where you need to be, some specific tips for using all the platforms better. I think that you'll be in a really good spot to get started if you have never pursued social media marketing before. I hope this answered some of your questions. Make sure you come back next time. We have lots of more great trainings to offer you for Learn with OneUp Web. Thanks.